Welcome back, my fellow agents. It is I, your agent of, well, you're just your awesome agent X7, the host of Zenorama, the podcast of heroes and monsters. Today, we're going to be talking about, briefly reviewing and discussing the War of the Gargantuas, or Frankenstein's monsters, Sanda versus Gaira, or whatever else it's been called. It's a wonderful movie. I saw it as a young child, a young agent, that is, on Channel 2, KWGN, here in Fossil Bed, Colorado. And it really kind of blew my mind. Just like that. I didn't, as you know, it starts out dark on a dark and stormy night, but not a shot rang out, but an octopus attacks a ship, which once again reinforced my love of octopi. So before we get further into this, please like, share, subscribe, vote in the poll. There probably won't be a poll. There probably won't do too many polls except on Fridays, and that's just for Spotify because they don't show up on. I guess I could do polls on YouTube, but we'll worry about that later. Be that as it may, grab yourself a big old bowl of hummus of perfection and your favorite delivery system, and we'll get cracking here. Today's sound effects and trailer is the international version, the English export version, that is. And so it'll sound a little different because the dub is different. We'll get into that in a bit. You'll see it at the end. It's a good-looking trailer, but you can tell that it was for export. Be that as it may, this is an official. Toho made it a sequel to Frankenstein Conquers the World, which you can look at or listen to somewhere. But when it was brought over here and redubbed by Henry Saperstein, the dub he had commissioned at Glen Sound, which is why you will hear some familiar voices. Just take out all the references to Frankenstein versus Varagon, or Frankenstein Conquers the World, and it also removed all the names of the monsters. They're just called the Green Gargantua and the Brown Gargantua. Sanda is the green Gargantua, Gaira is the brown one. No, I reversed that. Sanda is the brown Gargantua, the good monster, and Gaira is the green one, the bad monster, if you will. We say no monsters are bad, but Gaira eats people. And he has to be stopped. So there you go, War of the Gargantuas, 1970, Benedict Pictures. The U.S. version runs approximately 4 minutes longer, 6 minutes longer than the U.S. dub, or than the international dub or the Japanese version, because it has extra scenes. And it wasn't released. It was released in July 31st in 1966 by Toho in Japan, and it did not get a theatrical release until July 29th, 1970, part of a double bill with Monster Zero. It was also shown with War of Godzilla's Revenge, which is why this particular song is a little appropriate. So, as that's the crime fiction used as March of the Monsters in Godzilla's Revenge. So yeah, it's got a couple of extra minutes there, but other than that, it's basically the same. International dub, everyone's dubbed by oh, come on, where'd it go? English versions. There it is. It was dubbed by Frontier Enterprises, which did a lot of international stuff. Some of them were good, some of them were adequate. This isn't bad. I first noticed it. I got a copy of the Katango's War, the Italian version, which had Greek subtitles, but it was in English. Go figure. And it was about 76 minutes. So even with the PAL conversion rate, they'd edited it a bit. But it was fun to hear him say Frankenstein and Gaira and Sanda. So there's Russ Tamblyn, our hero. Legend has it when he got back to the States, they'd lost his voice track, so he had to redub the entire movie, all of his lines from memory, which he didn't always remember everything. But Never noticed as a kid. I thought it was fine. Love the movie because it has giant octopus and two giant monsters. Kip Hamilton sings "The Words Get Stuck in My Throat," and if I wasn't afraid of copyright, I'd go and find Devo's version of it. If, oops. And there, the beginning of it. I first heard that for the first time on Dr. Demento, and didn't. I thought that really sounds familiar. I didn't know what it was from, but Kip sings it in this movie. Apparently, she was good friends with one of the producers. That's all I've heard, and I won't speak to that anymore. There's our cast here. Kumi reprises her role. Most of them, we know who Haru Nakajima. He played Gaira, the Green Gargantua, said it was one of his favorite roles. I don't know who Ruben is. And there's Russ. I don't know why he was in the middle of the credits. There you go, special effects staff. And Glenn Sound, which of course were responsible for Rocky and Bullwinkle, and many, it's not as many as Tetra did, brought in movies, but they did quite a few dubs. They were the West Coast version of Tetra, and they're good. I just don't think they're quite as good as Tetra, but that's me. There you go, Tsuburaya-san, Tomoyuki Tanaka, and then once again, Inoshiro Honda shows up. So I don't know if he's credited as Inoshiro or just Ishiro in Monster Zero, which would be funny if, but we'll get to that because we're doing Godzilla reviews in order, unless I've already done one. And yes, Henry G. Saperstein brought several Godzilla movies over here and others, and was also responsible for the Godzilla cartoon, Up from the Depths. All right. There's Kumi answering the phone because the ship's been sunk. Gaira, initially you think he's a good monster because he saves the ship from the giant octopus, but he's not. Then he eats all the sailors except one. Which is, so we don't really know what's going on just yet. We're finding out. But they apparently 5 years previous to this, so if this is a sequel to Godzilla or Frankenstein Conquers the World, it's actually having it released in 1970 was about right. But there is they had the brown Gargantua, they call it, Sanda there, a baby one, but he escaped and ran away, and they never saw him again. So here's a great shot of Gaira attacking the airport, and there's just I don't really need to go through the movie. It's brother versus brother. The brown one's the good one, the green one's the bad one, and the scientists or the military wants to wipe them both out, but they're worried because they ostensibly came from the cells of the Frankenstein monster when the giant octopus drug him into the water. And that's where Gaira came from because he's a water animal, and Sanda's the brown one, which apparently skin scraped off somewhere and it grew back, the entire thing. It's not any more ridiculous than Reptilicus. And wait till we get that Vinegar Syndrome Blu-ray of that. We're going to have a ball. And so they use masers and everything on Gaira, and then Sanda rescues him. Now, these are obviously out of order. I apologize. It's kind of a last-minute thing due to the remaking nature of the earlier episode, Captain America. Thanks, YouTube. But, everything's going well. The brothers are getting along until Sanda finds out that Gaira's been eating the hikers in the mountains because young kids just ignore everything, apparently, and go hiking in mountains where monsters are.
Professor, I'm sure there are two monsters.
I got a funny hunch that they're not related as we know father and mother are brother. One might be the other's offspring.
I helped bring him up. I knew him better than anyone. He was always such a gentle little creature.
Because that was when they thought that the green one was the brown one, but then they find out he's not. There he's eating somebody, and there's where they find. And this is just beautiful. Look at how beautifully shot that is. 1, 2, 3 layers, or one, 3 layers, and 1, 2, 3, but not equal. Honda-san was an amazing director. Does not get his due in regular type of.
It's not just a theory that the mountain monster's a harmless creature.
The two monsters are known to be near brothers. If one is a killer, so is the other one.
There's where Sanda is catching Kumi Mizuno, and it's a really nice shot, and saves her. Just puts her back on. Breaks his leg while he's doing it. So he's battling underneath as the face monster, and the heel monster has been scarred and zapped by the maser cannons and the Markalite Mark II or whatever they're called. There's Kip. But we're not going to listen to Devo anymore, or her. Now, this scene was paid homage to by the excellent Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated on their Battle of the Humongonauts. And it even has a Kip. There's the woman sings a cover of "The Words Get Stuck in My Throat." So somebody's a fan. Troy Baker provided the red humongonaut, and the green one was provided by the wonderful Frank Welker, who was also Fred Jones. I'm doomed. She's thinking she's doomed. She's as doomed can be, I must say. There's a lot of.
Gaia.
Well, that's just what I needed.
So obviously you can tell that's the international version because she calls him Gaira. There he is, all zapped and beat up. And see, once again, out of order. I apologize. A full-size hand mock-up, and she just gets dropped, splat. So she's probably dead. We don't know, but we never had to listen to her sing again. The song's not horrible. It's just kind of really out of place.
I want the laser guns put into operation.
The miniatures are really well done here, except for a couple shots where Gaira's throwing a big old ship at Sanda, and the ship, is a little out of scale, but it's a fantastic shot. The one problem with the movie is that the final fight scene just kind of goes on and on until the obligatory volcano takes out both monsters, allegedly. I mean, encases them in rock or something, but I mean, if you can't eat, they're not going to live, no matter their cells can't reproduce. I mean, they're worried about them, multiplying and having hundreds and thousands of gargantuas running around. But much like with Reptilicus, it really does. That's just a plot point to try to figure out how to kill it with a special way to kill it. Lovely little shot of them. I never realized these were as a kid, but the models, the miniatures for the helicopters, they're battling in a near deserted Tokyo, which people have complained about, and it's like, well, by 66 or 1970, Tokyo should have a massive amount of underground dwellings for and all of Japan for these very sorts of things, because they keep getting attacked by monsters. These are not the laser cannons.
Come back! 2, 1, 0.
These are the ones that they're in the water. They electrocute the water, so Gaira is getting shocked and he's getting zapped in the legs by this, and then these come out, these Markalite maser cannons, Markalites, I don't know. But that's what you hear here. And there's the scene of Gaira, you'll see it in the trailer, Gaira crawling through unless you're listening to it, then you won't, crawling through the forest as they zap him, which was used in both Godzilla versus Gigan and Godzilla versus Megalon. And oh my gosh, and like we wouldn't recognize it eventually, but they didn't know there would be fans who watched these movies way too many times, your humble agent included. There it is. Look at that. That's a lovely. I'd love to have one of those, a model of it, but you know, what would I do with it? If it lit up, I'd use it for Christmas. Filmed in absolute realism. A nice look at Gaira or Sanda. And Nakajima-san really helped him with the battles. And they look very much like Ultraman was about to look. The War of the Gargantuas. And I don't have footage of the end of the movie or pictures. Suffice it to say, they battle through Tokyo, and it goes on a little too long. If they'd have interspersed it with people a little more often, it probably would have gone better. But overall, it's a good movie. It's one of my favorites. I saw it as a kid. I saw it before I saw Frankenstein Conquers the World. Here's how it was released. 2 big hits, too. Oh boy, 1970. If I'd have been able to see that movie, that probably would have had an impact on me. Because I like both these. Monster Zero. You're not ever going to hear me call it Toho's official title, Invasion of Astro Monster, because it doesn't make any sense. Here's behind the scenes. There's Tsuburaya-sama and the 2 actors. He's telling them what he wants them to do. He's very hands-on, even while he was also working on Ultra Q and Ultraman. Probably not at the same time here, but he was doing a lot of things. Here's the Italian productions. So at least they didn't say a cast of thousands. That's pretty, actually, good-looking poster. I don't know what Katongo means. There is the green Humungonaut, and I believe that's there's his Kip Hamilton wannabe. They'd had enough of that singing. We will be talking about Mystery Incorporated, the series, because it was the thing that made me love Scooby-Doo. And still this show. I don't like all Scooby-Doo. But there's another TV ad for KTLA Channel 5. I used to be able to get that when I was in San Diego. 5 and 13. Just on basic cable. Maybe 11 that they pipe them down because they needed to fill it. But once the dreaded infomercials infested everything and the cancer of infomercials, you kind of lost the shows and movies that you loved. All right. So that's our movie for today. I do recommend it. It's available most everywhere. Comet TV showed the international version. Svengoolie has shown the regular or the U.S. version. I was pleasantly surprised about that because everything else he's shown, like Destroy All Monsters, was shown with the international version, and he wondered why. He said that Hal Linden was credited in there, and he couldn't hear him, and of course not. I don't know why somebody didn't tell him that there's 2 versions. All right, my fellow agents, just remember, if you're singing the words get stuck in your throat, you kind of deserve what's about to happen to you. So until our next assignment, this is X7 signing off.
Professor, I'm sure there are 2 monsters.
I got a funny hunch that they're not related as we know father and mother or brother. One might be the other's offspring.
I helped bring him up. I knew him better than anyone. He was always such a gentle little creature.
It's not just a theory that the mountain monster's a harmless creature.
The 2 monsters are known to be near brothers. If one is a killer, so is the other one.
That's just what I needed.
I want the laser guns put into operation.